In 1453, Mehmet II finally captures Constantinople, changes its name to Istanbul, and converts the Hagia Sophia into a mosque. If you recall, Constantinople was the eastern capital of the Roman Empire under Constantine. Mehmet believed he had the purpose to turn the rest of Europe Islam. While strong countries existed in France, England, and Spain, Eastern Europe was weak. Mehmet II takes all of Greece and even lands in southern Italy, hoping to take Rome. However, he dies and the army retreats. Throughout this enlarged kingdom, he allowed Christians and Jews to practice their faith and businesses freely. Istanbul became a diversified city, much like Baghdad had been during the Abbasids. Islam spread very rapidly over North Africa in the 700s because of the taxation issue. The Ottomans did not have a strong population to compromise to govern. European culture allowed for individual land ownership, which could be handed down from generation to generation, creating an aristocracy that would gain power and privilege. The Ottomans confiscated all the land and gave it out to people that cooperated with them while they were alive. At their death, it went back to the state. This was a strong inducement to cooperate with the Ottomans. Anyone that was competent in their duties could have upward mobility in the society. At the top of the government structure was the Grand Vizier or Chief Minister, followed by the judiciary, the treasury, and then the administrators known as the tax collectors. The devasherme system, which was considered a boy levy, Christian boys were enslaved and sent to a school. They were then divided between military and administrative operatives. The regime was strengthened by a professional army of janissaries, which were foot soldiers who used the firearms. They were Christian slaves that became Muslim and fought for the Sultan in return for land. Finally, traditional Islamic law under Sharia could not fit into the 15th century, so according to Turkish traditions, Turkish state law, or kanun, was above all other laws, so a hybrid society developed. The sultans would select favorites to collect taxes. These would be the multazims. They would collect money from the people or bazaars, give a portion to the administration, and keep the rest. These positions were then sold to others for additional profit. Unfortunately, as they get greedy, they keep increasing the taxes, and the subjects are too oppressed. Eventually, the Ottomans conquered Palestine, Egypt, and Mecca itself from the Arabs. The Mamluks had ruled over Egypt for almost 300 years. However, they continued to focus on the cavalry and did not adopt gunpowder and cannon for a sense of action. The Ottomans defeated the Mamluks in Egypt in 1517. Thus, the Ottomans controlled both the spiritual realm of Muhammad and the Roman capital of Constantinople. Suleiman the Magnificent ruled from 1520 to 1566. Islamic philosophers believe that Suleiman was ordained to conquer Christian Europe. He was the 10th Ottoman Sultan, and it was also the 10th century of Muhammad's rise. Suleiman first defeated Hungarian forces and threatened the Habsburgs in Vienna. The famous siege of Vienna occurred in 1529. Poor weather and lack of adequate supplies prevented Suleiman from conquering Vienna. Instead, he attempted diplomacy to weaken the Christian kingdoms. The Protestant Reformation started to turn Christians against each other, so the Turks formed alliances to gain tactical advantages in southeastern Europe. He was able to expand his empire in North Africa. By the 1600s, the Ottomans started to decline. Either the Sultan or the Grand Vizier led the army on campaigns. They feared splitting the army along the various points of the empire, fearing rival generals. However, with a large empire, it was difficult to protect the vast realm. All the army was in Istanbul, so difficult to respond to crises. The Portuguese, French, and British started trade directly with India and the Spice Islands, thus robbing the Ottomans of critical revenue. The Ottomans laid a siege at Vienna in 1683. While having superior numbers, the Austrians had better firepower. The Habsburgs began to slowly push the Ottomans out of Hungary in the Treaty of Karlowitz in 1699. Western Europe was finally safe from outside invasion. Another group started to arise in the east as well. That would be the Safavid Persians. Following Timur's death in 1405 and the empire's decline, the Safavids, another Turkish group from Azerbaijan, came to power. Under Ismaili, who ruled from 1501 to 1525, they swiftly gained control of Persia and adopted their customs. They then went east and captured Baghdad and Basra. The conflict developed between the Ottomans and the Safavids. The Ottomans were Sunni Muslims and the Safavids were Shia Muslims. Initially, Janissary armies using firearms defeated the horseback army of the Kizilbash, meaning redheads based upon the color of their turbans. The Kizilbash were based on aristocracy, and the Safavids in 1514 in Azerbaijan. The Janissaries wanted to win her back in Istanbul, and Persia was spared from invasion. The Safavids then looked inward. The Safavids adopted the Shia branch of Islam and imposed it on its subjects. Isfahan became the new thriving capital, embracing new artwork. The Ottomans would take back Baghdad and Basra. However, the Ottomans were already declining after Suleiman and the Persians, led by their shahs, had developed a friendship with the British, which assisted its survival. This would continue until the administration, dominated by the greedy Kizilbash, took too much land from the people. Isfahan would be conquered by an Afghan tribe in 1722, and then the Ottomans conquered western Persia. The Sunni Ottomans would then be attacked by the eastern Persians and eventually have to withdraw. A new group of shahs would rule, but Persia was weakened and not fully united. So Persia at this time would have a grand empire. It would be Shia Muslim, whereas in the purple, that would be the Ottoman Empire that was Shia Muslim. And by both attacking each other, this would weaken them. The Ottomans would lose land in parts of Europe, and the Persians would eventually be defeated by an outside force in the area that we call India today. Isfahan is known for its neo-Islamic architecture with all the bright colored tiles. And again, the Safavids did not last very long.